Hello, hello. So I have come along to share my new journal with you today. I've been working on it quite slowly, just bits and pieces here and there in between some of the digital work that I've been doing. There was going to be a kit for this journal, however, the kit's not finished yet, so I'm still working on the kit. It's a kind of autumnal colour themed journal. I'm just going to put this aside for a second. I'm going to try and get through this without too much sniffing. So, obviously, I have a charm here with a leaf and some amber coloured beads, and this is a necklace pendant, which I absolutely loved the tones and colours of that, so I've put that onto here, and that's just clipped on. So this is quite long, and it's a kind of really pretty chiffon material over it was this cotton that I've dyed. So there is an image on the front and some of the leaves that I have coloured and embossed with a little fabric kind of collage. It's a soft, fairly soft cover. It's quite flexible. It's fabric, obviously, which I've also dyed and done lots of stitching around. Of the papers, most of it's cardie paper that I have inked or painted. We've got trim down many of the pages. It's quite naked other than the colouring, so lots can be added to this. There's some tea-dyed paper. This is all cardie paper. This is a vintage piece from an exercise book. There are a few sheets of newsprint. There's a little leaf here that I've done a little collage onto with a picture. This is a book front page. I've added some of my leaves too. This is an original piece of vintage ephemera. More tea-dyed paper, lots of trim. This is a tag that I made. It's just like a collage of fabric and then the scrap strips that I made. Another piece of vintage ephemera. It's quite delicate, but it's just so beautiful. Worked really well in this. This is some of the greaseproof paper that I used to dye onto. There's just some stencils. Another one of those leaves that are embossed on a vintage book page. More cardie paper. It's hard to tell because some of them are paint and some of them are inks. The trim. This is a sheet of, it's very similar to greaseproof paper. It's shiny one side and it's matte the other, and this is what I got from Kerry Fellows, whose Witchcraft Do You Do. Vintage legal document page. Another little collage with one of the vintage leaves. This is the middle of the first signature, and I used this was a sheet that was the leaves were cut out of, but I thought it was just so nice. I've actually coloured that and used that as a page. Some more trim, and then obviously the pages in reverse. This is a really cute vintage envelope that I just wanted to include, but I didn't want to add any ink or anything to this particular envelope because it's just so beautiful. Oh, this was also under here. This is I think this came from the National Trust, and it's a piece of note paper, and it's got dried flowers laminated into there, which I just thought, again, the colours went so well with this particular journal. It's the other side of that vintage page. This I was going to do something with, and I wasn't quite sure, but I actually like that paper clipped in, so that's paper clipped in there. The other side of that vintage sheet and the book page, and I've done a little fabric cluster on top of that leaf. I just loved how these pages turned out. So much ink. so much ink and paint for this journal. This is another little, this is one of the little embellishments that came from Kerry, and I've just heat embossed that and added some little beads here. And this is the second signature. There's a little satin silky piece with leaves on that I've just tipped in. Another piece of the trim that I made, the scrap strip. Another piece of vintage ephemera and another piece of vintage book page. Another little cluster on one of those leaves, and I just thought these two colours went really nicely with that paper. Another little collage on a leaf there. I really loved how this turned out. This is the cardie paper that I used inks, and I held, this is another one of the stencils. I held the stencil slightly above after I'd wet the paper, so there's a little bit of bleed there, which I really liked. This is just a little envelope that I lined with the greaseproof paper and inked in the same colours as the pages. This is the second tag, and I love this. I just love it. It's just lots of ink and the little leaf collage and a couple of different scraps of paper, and I used a stenciled piece of newsprint on the back of that. Another piece of the legal document paper that's plain the other side, and another little scrap with the holes on. And then this is the centre of the signature, and I haven't shown you the beads. I've done a little bead selection on the strings there. More of that strip. I mean, this was I actually filmed making this, and I was just going to put music over it, and the iPad died, so I'd done all of the sticking and none of the colorizing. It was on film, so I didn't put that video out, which was a bit of a shame. You can see the embossed seal on here. I absolutely love that paper. So it's quite naked in terms of the pages. There's lots and lots of room for things to be done in here. Obviously with the colour themed background. There's another vintage book page. Another little collage on the bottom of that page. They're just so pretty. I think I probably used almost my whole ink reserve creating this journal. Oh, that's the other piece of vintage ephemera. Lots of golds. I don't know if you can see. Lots of micas and mica sprays and things. And that's the back. So because I didn't fill this full of ephemera and bits and pieces, what I did was, it will come with this. So obviously this can be used in the journal, and that's the autumnal colour piece of sari silk. Just move these. I made a simple kind of autumn clipboard. It's just got some crackle paste, and I've used paints. It was all gessoed. I've aged the clip. I don't know if you can see because of the light. I've aged the clip, tied a piece of the fabric round, and there's two little charms hanging on there. The back is plain brown. So it's gold around the edge. It's just a very simple kind of little autumn clipboard, and I'll show you the bits that are on here. These are all vintage. So this was out of a blue ledger that I have. There is another piece of line. So there's lots of lined paper for writing, and these are all out of vintage notebooks that I own. I love this one because somebody had gone through and numbered all of the pages, and there was page 62 as well from that book. There's a piece of vintage writing paper, an invoice receipt thing. This is from a diary from 1909, and there's some gorgeous writing on that. a piece from a tiny little ledger book that I have, some pieces from vintage receipt books, some more vintage writing paper, and then there are a few book pages that are kind of autumnal or nature related, and then there is this gorgeous vintage map page, which is obviously got the reds and things like that in. I just love that image, I really do. I actually wanted to try and do a transfer print with that, but I just thought it would be such a waste because it's just beautiful. It's a Christmas rose. So there's that. Pages from a floral book. There is a lovely green vintage postcard. Another page from a book of trees, and then this really gorgeous, I've picked a page from November. This book is just falling apart, but it is really old. It's from an old like a birthday book, I think it was called, but there's some really gorgeous autumnal images on there. So these can all be, oh, and there's one more thing, another little vintage snapshot of Bishopthorpe Palace, which is a tiny little, it's from a little snapshot book. So I was looking for things that were autumnal or related to this kind of themed journal. So let me just turn that over, excuse me. So it was just a little extra, and obviously the clipboard will come in handy, and it can still be decorated further because it is quite simple. It's quite plain at the moment. I just wanted to include some ephemera with this, and thought the clipboard would make a change from an envelope or a folio of some sort. That's the journal. I really hope you like it. I'm going to get this into my Etsy shop. I will put a link in the description box if it's listed. Thank you so much. I really hope you like it. I had a lot of fun making this. I made a lot of mess as well. I will see you all really soon. Take care and stay safe. Bye.